So, good morning, everyone. As Roman said, I'm César Marques. Although I work in this National School of Statistical Science, I myself am a sociologist and a demographer. And I'm also staying here as a research fellow at the Department of Demography of the University of Vienna until next week, at least. And Juliana Tracy, which is also the co-author of this research, is a PhD student in our program back in Brazil. So basically what I want to share here today is to tell a little bit about the story about how we can connect local pathways with the shared socioeconomic pathways that are being taught at the IPCC and among the climate research community. So the first basic motivation about this is while I arrived here just a few weeks after I arrived, we have a huge landslide in the Brazilian coastal area, which is located between the two most richest areas in Brazil, São Paulo and Rio de Janeiro state, which is also the place that are famous back in Brazil for being the houses for some like this one is the house of a very famous Brazilian player, Brazilian soccer player at the Paris Saint-Germain, and this one is from a surfer one. I think that you know this, but this is a very unequal area, as almost all of the Brazilian coastal area, it's based on this. With very few distances, you can see these two scenarios. And the second motivation is the research that I came here to do, focused on multidimensional population projections and adaptation to climate change at Brazilian subnational levels. So I try to bring this together and think about the SSPs narratives and pathways, the local pathways, and see how they are connected or not, and the potential mobilities outcomes in these areas. So I think that most of you are used to see this picture, but basically what we have is like these 5 SSPs, coming from the low challenges of adaptation and mitigation to high challenges 1, and also this SSP 5 and 4, where we can have a high development scenario with mitigation challenges, or SSP 4, a low development scenario and a huge adaptation challenges. So this is the area that I'm talking about. It's on 2 states. You can see here is the São Paulo metropolitan area, here is the Rio de Janeiro metropolitan area, and there is a lot of conservation units, a lot of conflicts, but of course they are not homogeneous in space. So these red marks are the most dense urban areas and where people really are. This is on the Rio de Janeiro state, and this is on São Paulo state. And you can see that on these municipalities are the ones that concentrate population in São Paulo, and here we have the concentration of population in Rio de Janeiro. The names here is Angra dos Reis, and here is São Sebastião, which I will exemplify with what is happening. And this is also Paraty, which a city with basic tourism activities. So what happens is this is the very fresh census data. We have a huge increase in households, but not accompanied by the increase in population. So on the right side of you are households, and the left side is population. Here we have the growth rates, and the red ones are the households growth rates, and the green one are the population. So you see that population increases much less than the households. We also saw that unoccupied households represents a large share of almost all of the municipalities. And what happens is that if you think about the economic factors, we can see that the GDP basically is based on service, and in some places on industry. This is the municipality of Ilhabela, with it's an island, and this is Paraty with its fishery, basically this industry, and Angra dos Reis is based on oil and gas exploration and seaport activities as well. So if you see about in absolute numbers, we see that industry remains as a large share of Angra dos Reis with growth. Here's in Ilhabela and Angra, and DGP is growing, but basically based on services. This is the formal jobs. We don't see the same share of economic, so something is happening, and just the services sector is employing people. And this is just the extractive industry of oil and gas exploration, which is a main activity of these places, but with almost no employment. So in summary, if you think about these scenarios, we are thinking about something related to SSP 2 and 3 with a very unequal and business as usual scenario. The local economy is based on tourism, extractive industry, gas and oil production, and services employment, but no everywhere. So if you think about, for instance, Angra dos Reis in Rio and São Sebastião, these are competing activities with tourism and extractive industry being a source of conflict with increasing pressure on land use due to this huge household growth, public investments mostly on road access and on part infrastructure and economic diversification that's based on gas and oil exploitation. So if we try to combine these scenarios and the SSPs, what I would like to summarize, and it's non-ongoing work, but it's that SP1, it's a scenario of radical changes, and of course that local mobility and house adaptation would be favored to deal with these risks. And SSP2, inequalities remain, gas and oil productions also remains, but is challenged by alternative sources, and tourism increase. And SSP3, the worst scenario, with high immigration combined with immobility from risk areas, jewelers, increasing disasters risk, and social conflicts. SSP4 and 5 seem very incurrent and implausible for this area, because one of these SSP4 based on the increasing inequalities and extractive industry with local immobilities related to this house market, it's not like it requires shifts on the economy because of this fall of the extractive industry and a business as usual urban planning, disaster risk management, and SSP5 with high immigration scenarios and but no adaptation or less adaptation challenges also seems very implausible and incoherent with this scenario. So this is in summary what I try to put here. Of course, the green one would be the best option. The yellow shows what is possibly going on right now, and the 5 and 4 seems incoherent. Of course, that there are very novel data that are being published. This data of the census are just the basic data from 2 weeks ago that were released. So I need some, of course, extra and novel data to deal with this. So thanks a lot for the time and attention, and I hope we have a nice discussion.